Number one is my wife's laugh, because I was doing a show and I saw her and she was laughing in the audience, and that's how I noticed her. I said, "Well, that girl's got a great laugh. Whoa, she's super hot."
There certainly were a couple of crazy years there on Dawson's Creek. That's going to be on my tombstone. Here lies a teenage heartthrob.
Date was very awkward. I remember I wanted to kiss her so bad, but I just never did. Still regret it. Still regret. This is vodka, by the way. I don't know if you see all the other guys drinking it, but this is vodka.
My wife, I like her a lot still. I still love sleeping with her. It's good.
You see black comedy a lot more often than you see black drama on television. And that's something that I think needs to be looked at, because I think that there's so much to tell, you know, in drama as well as comedy. So hopefully that'll change. The first movie I remember seeing was The Empire Strikes Back, and I freaked out. My dad had to take me out of the theater because Han Solo was my favorite guy, and I thought not only was he dead, but they like froze him and he suffocated and stuff.
Brazil. But I know from my mother that the first movie I actually saw was E.T., but for obvious reasons, Brazil left more of a mark. My mother was very keen on me having a sort of an appreciation of a wide variety of film, of cinema.
That is a tough one. Had to be a cartoon. That's a good one. See, curveballs, I'm out.
The Sound of Music. And yeah, that's gonna mess up whatever street credibility I was working on.
The first movie I remember seeing is Jaws. But I couldn't even close my eyes in the bathtub and play the music in your head. You feel like there's a 4,000-pound white shark in the tub with you.
The first really obsessive TV show that I had in my life was probably The X-Files, or maybe The Simpsons. And then I think the Jon Stewart show was probably Jon Stewart got me kicked out of high school. Before he was on Comedy Central, he had a show called The Jon Stewart Show, and it played, at least where I grew up, it played at 1:30 in the morning. So I would stay up at night to watch Jon Stewart, but then I would be too tired or too lazy to go to school in the morning, so I'd just take the first couple classes off because I wanted to be fresh when I got there.
What was that show with Balky and Larry? Perfect Strangers. I love the Perfect Strangers. Not the television series, but the opening of the great American Hero, that William Catt thing with Believe It or Not, I'm Walking on Air playing. It's like a car with a spaceship coming up. No, I was a big nerd, so I was a big geek.
You know, my grandmother used to watch the Lawrence Welk Show and eat apples with cheese. And she'd force me to watch that with her in bed.
Probably Saturday morning cartoons or Hockey Night in Canada. But that's like Saturday night and you get to stay up later and watch hockey, so that was kind of a big thing. But probably Saturday morning cartoons.
The people that really kind of got me excited about comedy and wanting to do it were people like Michael Palin and Woody Allen movies. Love and Death in particular was a movie I'd watch over and over and over again.
Well, the first time I understood what acting or performing actually was seeing Rain Man. And my mother, I'd never seen Dustin Hoffman before, and my mother having to explain to me that that was a character that he was putting on. That when the camera stopped, he wasn't Raymond in Rain Man. And I think that was the first time that my curiosity was really piqued at that you could have a life and a career. Well, I didn't really understand career. That you could have a life sort of in make-believe, where you could be everything and anything that you wanted to be. So that was I guess, Rain Man was the beginning of my career.
Definitely anything that Sidney Poitier did. One of my favorite ones was Patch of Blue. There was a subtle performance, and it was such a delicate issue, with the blind girl, but it was so inspiring to me.
Sean Penn, just how he brings you into the performance is incredible. Especially with Dead Men Walking, how you're kind of like sympathetic to a character that, raped and murdered someone.
I always loved Paul Newman, but I don't think I had an appreciation for him until, later in life. Getting into acting was kind of an accident for me. I was an athlete in high school, and my water polo season ended short, and I had to fill a like a fifth period elective. If you can actually wear a Speedo and a cap with little plastic ear covers and make it look tough, I think you've achieved something.
That's the big thing that they tell you when you audition for SNL, like, they won't laugh. The morning of my audition, my manager called me frantically and said, they want a political impression. And so I was flipping through the channels and I just happened to fall on like some Parliament thing. I don't know why, and it was Tony Blair talking, and I watched that for like 45 minutes, and then I called my friend who's in the UK and go, "Who's this?" And I did it, and he was like, "That's supposed to be Tony Blair." And I was like, "I'll call you right back."
Manager's like, oh, I got his first audition. Let's send him to LA in pilot season. Raped in pilot season. Not one. It was so bad. And then I ended up living in my car in that and then going to Vancouver. It was a sweet car, though. If you have to take a leak in the middle of the night, you just open the door, lean over and take a leak and go back to sleep. It was quite easy. It was a Pontiac Firefly with a hatchback and like 12-inch wheels. It's literally still in my mom's driveway, which I'm sure she's ecstatic every day pulling in and seeing that piece of car.
I don't really remember my first couple auditions because when you're a kid, it really doesn't. There's no pressure at that point. You're just having fun, and you get stuck in a room with 200 other children and play for a couple hours. My poor mother. I can't imagine what that experience was like on her side.
I remember auditioning for lots of commercials and just never getting one. I think the first job I ever got was a guest starring role in the Wonder Years. I played the captain of the football team, jock, who takes the girl with the funny nose to prom. I was the jock with the big heart.
You go out on so many auditions when you first get started that after a while, you know, you just do your best to move on and try not to, you know, get too emotionally attached or too attached to any role, because you know how difficult it is to land a part. In my mind, I am James Bond at times, and so I often imagine myself driving an Aston Martin. I love Aston Martins. Black or silver. I'm still deciding, you know. I got my guy on the phone all the time, you know. It's just